This is the Happy Families podcast. In about a month from today, there's going to be a whole lot of new legislation enacted, which means that social media will not be able to be accessed by children under the age of 16. Minimum age legislation is just 1 month away. And today on the podcast, we answer the questions that I've been asked by media more than any other questions over the last month or two. How do you help your kids to prepare for the social media minimum age legislation? We're the first country in the world to do it. Nobody knows what's going on. How are we supposed to grapple with this and get through it? That and more coming up next on the Happy Families podcast. G'day, welcome to the Happy Families podcast, where you get real parenting solutions every single day. This is Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We are Justin and Kylie Coulson. Kylie, we're in this weird situation where as much as we've got a whole lot of kids spread across a whole lot of years, we actually only have one child affected by the social media minimum age legislation.
I feel like one child's enough.
It's our 15-year-old, and she is, in one word, no, this is 2 words, not happy. No, I'm so sorry, Lily, but I'm really glad that this minimum age legislation is coming in. Unfortunately, she turns 16 next year, which means that it's not going to be lasting long enough for her. But one of my greatest parenting regrets is the decision that we made to allow her access to a device, screen, social media at too young an age. Thank goodness the government's doing this, is all I can say. Kylie, I've been asked again and again and again over the last couple of months to help parents to know in various media conversations how to prep. And you know what my general response has been?
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Yeah, it'll be fine. Like,
once they don't have access, they don't have access.
Not everything has to be a news story.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about it more, especially based on some conversations I've had with some young people. And I do think that we'll all benefit from a quick chat about it. So to kick off, and before we talk about the 5 things that I've outlined that we could do to help this amendment, this change to life occur smoothly, I just want to read something to you. This is from a recently published, July 2025, published article in Pediatric Research. I'm going to sneak some doctor's desk content into today. Please forgive me. But the abstract basically says smartphone use among young people is framed as a post-pandemic concern, with increased screen time and online distractions attributed to lockdown-induced dependency. However, this narrative overlooks the trajectory of digital policy in education, where education departments globally were encouraging the integration of student-owned devices into classrooms before the pandemic. Really important point, right? We were already headed down this road. COVID might have amplified it, but we were already well and truly on this road thanks to Kevin Rudd's education revolution, which happened in 2008, for goodness sakes. Anyway, the research has gone to say the growing focus on links between the digital lives of children and adolescents and their mental well-being are often based on correlational data with few longitudinal or experimental studies. There is a notable absence of studies which successfully disentangled the effects of different types of smartphone and social media usage, separating learning and educational from recreational uses. Although I will say, even since July when this was published, there have been a couple of other really smart papers that have come out that are helping us to see even more why this matters. Okay, back to the abstract. Last thing, and this is the key thing that I wanted to highlight. These researchers have said a growing number of governments have introduced restrictive policies to limit access. They're talking about us. We're the first government in the world. Australia's federal government is the first government in the world to go as far as we've gone. And they're saying this one-size-fits-all approach may inadvertently exacerbate inequalities or ignore the social realities of young people's lives. While regulatory effort may form part of a broader digital policy toolkit, bans alone are insufficient. They do little to address the underlying needs that drive youth engagement with smartphones: the human desire for social connection, access to information, and autonomy. A more effective response must be holistic, combining regulation with education, digital literacy, and the co-creation of safe digital spaces that support both protection and participation. Now, I'm sharing that because they're right. As much as I support what Julian McGrann and Anthony Albanese and the government is doing here, the ban isn't going to change the game here. It's not going to change the world. It's going to make a big difference in terms of social media usage for our kids. But if we're relying on the government to do it all for us, we're going to be sadly disappointed and our children are going to be sadly disadvantaged. And that's the real crux of what's driving my 5 points that we need to talk about today. If all we do is say you can't have this thing, something else is going to fill that void. So if we don't create effective conversations around screens, another screen activity is going to step in. If we don't create useful, productive, positive, powerful things for our kids to be doing off screens, then this social media minimum age legislation simply moves the problems to other platforms, and they will show up elsewhere.
At a surface level, for a majority of families, having social media access to our children has alleviated a huge amount of the social navigation that would normally be mum or dad's job, as in, let's organise a hangout, let's organise a, kind of a play day.
Park, whatever. Yeah.
Kids have done that all for themselves and just told us where they've got to be and what time they need to be dropped off or picked up. But the reality is that in doing that, it's also taken us as the parents out of the social circles as well.
Yeah.
We no longer...
Parents are disconnected.
Yeah, we're totally disconnected from our kids and their friends and their friends' parents because we're not the ones organising the catch-ups anymore. And I think that it's really going to challenge lots of us as we go back essentially to the playground, because that's what we're doing, right?
Well, that's what we need to do. That's one of my 5 things. Otherwise, the kids will just start playing games more, right? Well, they'll be off social media, but they'll just be gaming. So one more time from what McCoy and Marcus Quinn said in Pediatric Research in their article about navigating youth smartphones and policy, I just want to read this line one more time. Regulatory efforts may form part of a broader digital policy toolkit, but bans alone are insufficient. They won't address the underlying needs that drive youth engagement with smartphones: social connection, access to information, and autonomy. So that's what our 5 tips to prepare for the December 10 legislation are about. I'll run through those next. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Happy Families podcast. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, please give us a follow and share the podcast with your friends, your neighbours, your loved ones, because it will help make their families happier as well. Kylie, let's kick it off and walk through these 5 pointers and see if we can be useful as we prepare our kids for the December 10 social media minimum age legislation.
So if you haven't done it already, you really need to start having conversations about what this is going to look like for your teenager.
Of course, every time we've tried to have a conversation with our teenager about it, we've just had sad face stuff coming up. Like she's just sad about it. Full stop, end of story. I don't like it. I'm sad. I don't really want to talk about it. But beginning the conversation softly, maybe with treats, is going to be helpful. Hey, how are you feeling about it? Is there anything we can do to support you? Literally just engaging with your kids around it, starting the conversation right now, helping them to understand why the ban is occurring, asking them how they feel about that, whether they agree or disagree, even if it's not about them. What have they seen with their friends and their peers at school? That kind of conversation is going to be useful. But it's also useful to say, well, we probably should develop a plan together on how we can approach, number one, reducing screen time, but also helping you to have an active and full and whole life off the screen. Open dialogue. Rationales. It's going to help them to feel informed and supported.
Recently, our 11-year-old asked if she could make a phone call to her friend who'd gone on holidays. She homeschools. So friend was overseas and I let them have a phone call. And a few minutes later, I realised that there was no noise coming from her bedroom. I couldn't hear any conversations. And I walked in and I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "We're texting." And I said, "No, that's not what you asked to do. You asked to have a phone call." She said, "Yeah, but we want to text." And I said, "Well, that's not what we're doing here. You're either having a conversation or you can give me my phone back." And she went, "Oh, okay." And anyway, about 3 minutes later, they're chattering away and they didn't stop for about 50 minutes. And it just was curious to me that because of what they've watched with big sisters, that they thought it was cooler to actually text each other without realising that they were missing out on the real connection. Because once they got talking, you couldn't get a word in edgewise.
So much better. Our kids have got to learn how to do this. The second thing that I want to highlight is getting phone numbers. getting phone numbers and downloading stuff that the kids have put onto socials, because once they lose their accounts, they'll potentially lose all that content. So it's worth saying, let's start to ask the question, who's got phone numbers? Because we are going to be texting, we are going to be making phone calls, and get hold of that content. The other thing that some people have been doing is installing landlines, putting the phone on the wall in the kitchen.
Can you get a landline?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Oh, we need to do that.
Yeah, landlines are back. They're back, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, like this is the thing.
Our kids are missing out on so much by having their own phones.
Landlines are trending.
Imagine when we had to just share with the whole family.
If we put a landline in, I think we should put one in the kitchen on the wall, and I think we should put one in our bedroom so that when the kids are talking on the landline, we can pick it up and we can listen to what they're saying.
That was the best, wasn't it?
All right, the third thing is that we need to fade this out gradually. Now, I've put this into my comments and I've shared this a few times on media interviews that I've done. But Kylie, honestly, I don't think that whether you're fading out or going cold turkey, it's going to make any difference. There are some experts who are saying, your social media can be addictive. You need to gradually reduce your children's time on social media because otherwise they're going to feel really frustrated when they have that sudden stop at the end. I just don't think it matters. I really don't think it matters. But I do want to add that it might be a useful tool in some families' toolkits, and it's at least worthy of the conversation.
Well, even if it's not a fade out, I think that every now and again having a fast where, as a whole family, you make a decision that you're going to stay off screens for Saturday or Sunday or, kind of a whole weekend type thing. And I think you could very well do that as long as you're all on board.
When I'm listening to a song, fade outs annoy me. I just want to... Song's over.
Yeah, but you're
all... Cold, cut, finished, done.
We're not all like that.
Okay. The fourth thing that I want to highlight is the importance of building community. This is something that Jonathan Haidt talked about a lot in his book, The Anxious Generation. It's one of his key pillars of how we're supposed to help our kids to have a play-based rather than a screen-based childhood. This goes back to what you were saying, Kylie. Mum, Dad, time to start taking some responsibility, getting some phone numbers, organising some stuff for the kids to do, because they are probably going to need a little bit more support from you so that they can engage effectively in building their offline community, getting together with their friends.
You think about those earlier days, it was play dates, right? And you would organise for a family to come over and hang out with you. We don't do that anymore. We literally kind of drop the kids off at the shopping centre or, they go hang out at the park or whatever. They don't have our involvement. And we miss out as adults as well. So that's probably the part that I'm looking forward to the most, is just being able to reconnect with relationships that lift and elevate.
Let's do the last one. The last one that I wanted to make a really big hoo-ha about is...
model.
Yeah. As parents, let's show them. If this stuff is so damaging, I mean, and it is, I would argue, more damaging for an adolescent's developing brain than it is for a fully functional. Let's just go with neurologically mature adult brain, because, I'm not going to finish that sentence. Modeling it. If it's bad for the kids, the reality is it's not doing us any favors. We don't need it in our lives. And maybe it would even be something that you can do in solidarity with the kids. You know what, kiddo? You're off social media now. In support of you and in solidarity with you, I'm not going to use social media either, or at least not when you're watching, not when you can see me. Maybe I might use it for 10 or 15 minutes in the morning or 10 or 15 minutes at night, but that'll be it. Find a way that you can tag team, you can model healthy living and healthy tech boundaries for your kids. And that's it. They're my big 5 ways to help your kids get ready for the 1 month away social media minimum age legislation that's about to kick off here in Oz. Hope that's helpful. If you know somebody who's struggling, maybe you can share this episode with them and it might shed some light on a slightly tough talk that they could be having in their home. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides research, admin, and a whole lot of other support as well. Really appreciate the team behind the pod. If you would like more information and resources to make your family happier, and specifically on this topic, check out my book, The Parenting Revolution. It will literally revolutionise what's going on in your home. You can find that and a whole lot of other resources at happyfamilies.com.au.